If any president made clear the power of story, was Ronald Reagan. You were in the country at that time, and you know that he was the master storyteller.
Yes.
And he told stories that made you hate the Soviet Union and want lots of nuclear weapons and feel that you should be ready to use them at any moment. And the power of story, and in Hollywood, the power of story was just overwhelming, because we told stories that dehumanized the Soviets. And if you dehumanize someone, that's step one to saying killing them's okay.
Right.
You know, killing them's all right, which sets the stage for all the work that I've ever done. And in terms of my background, I'm sensitive to this dehumanization that happens in the media, because the media can be used to humanize or to dehumanize. And I think I'm particularly sensitive to it because part of my family was killed in the concentration camps. So I'm very aware that dehumanization is not some abstract, that's not some abstraction. I'd started a for-profit company with investors that wanted movies that changed the way Americans think about the world and about politics. So they were supporting me to make movies that were challenging of this, what should we say, the anti-communist status quo. And to make a long story short, I said to myself, I'm not going to accept this. I want this industry to wake up. And I thought, how are we going to wake up? And I thought, well, what I noticed in the Soviet Union was the exact mirror image of what was happening in Hollywood, which was there was an anti-capitalist grip on the film industry. The Communist Party ran the film union. And Gorbachev was just coming in, and they were just starting to change. And I thought, wait a minute, if they can break out of their anti-capitalist trance, and we can break out of our anti-communist trance, we might make better movies. And that was my pitch to both sides. And we ended up bringing the top Soviet filmmakers to Hollywood and the top Hollywood people to the Soviet Union. A series of exchanges which we called the Entertainment Summit. What we did, Bill, was we took a century of Soviet filmmaking portraying capitalists and condensed it into 30 minutes. And we took almost a century of American filmmaking of communists and condensed it into 30 minutes. The two 30-minute pieces never got distributed. They were only shown privately. But the 3-minute condensations of the two 30 minutes were shown on all kinds of media. Entertainment programs, CBS Evening News, news programs, in classes, in courses. It had an incredible tour. And why? Because the visual media have an insatiable appetite for images. So they wouldn't have wanted to film me on CBS Evening News, but they sure wanted to show those clips.
Yeah.
Because the clips were filled, and this is the shadow side, Bill. The clips were filled with brutality, all the stuff all the gore that the Soviets had said about capitalists and the capitalists had said about Soviets. So we got media coverage both because for a higher purpose, but also because it was filled with that kind of, what should we call it, sensationalist imagery. On the American side, it ended the Cold War on the big screen. I mean, you can look at the films after 86, 87 and the films before 86 and 87. It's as if the world changed. And I could say that was also because of, Reagan and Gorbachev started to see each other in Iceland and so forth. So there were changes on the political level. But the changes on the political level and the changes on the media level were completely mirrored. And Reagan, who came from that world, he was from Hollywood, Reagan saw what was happening in Hollywood and he felt the shift, And combined with the shift that was happening in Moscow with Gorbachev, it created a different climate. And it was totally because of the power of the media to reflect back to human consciousness a new reality, a new level of awareness. And it's probably, if you had to say, Mark, what was the project you've done that had the most tangible and immediate effect on history, that's clearly that project.